Hi, I've chosen to do my persuasive speech on the Second Amendment and why I really support the Second Amendment. I'm very pro Second Amendment and the reasons why you should be too. Now, why should you or someone else be pro Second Amendment? Um, it helps individuals protect themselves. If you're by yourself or um, walking down the street, especially when it comes to when packing pepper spray. A gun is more effective than that, so it does help individuals protect themselves. It is our stronger gun control is stronger gun laws banning certain guns is not, or banning all guns is not going to take away firearms from the criminals. It's going to take away from the law-abiding citizens. Stronger gun control is really just unconstitutional. It is against our Second Amendment rights, a right that was deemed so important that it was the Second Amendment. Now, protection. 63% of gun owners say that the reason they purchase their firearm is for protection. Now, this whole debate, whether it's for sport or this whole argument that it's for sport, is simply just not true. 60% of 63% of gun owners say that they use their firearm or purchase their firearm for personal protection. So that does say a lot. And that comes from pewresearch.org. And coming from fee.org, on average, an adult male tends to be stronger than an adult female, and the firearms have been proven to be more effective than pepper spray and whistles. Even if you don't use the firearm, just presenting the firearm can be enough to scare off an attacker. But if you do have to use it, most men attacking females are not that intimidated by pepper spray or whistles. But firearms, they will be more intimidated, more likely to be scared off. You wouldn't even have to use it. Will gun control stop gun violence? Gun control and stricter gun laws will only take away guns from law-abiding citizens and leave them with no way of defending themselves. A good example of this would be the drug epidemic or drug pandemic. While drugs are illegal, individuals still find ways to either make drugs or find someone who does make drugs and purchase them. And this will be the exact same with firearms. Firearms are very easily produced if you have any kind of piping and you know how the trigger mechanisms work, and you can make gunpowder, which is again very easy to do. Anyone can make a firearm, and it can still be bought illegally. And this way, guns have no way of being traced with no serial numbers. So this would ultimately lead to more illegal guns on the streets and just more gun violence in general that we have no way of tracking. Unconstitutional. Now, what I mean by that is it is just a violation of our Second Amendment right. And that was a right that was so important that it was the Second Amendment. It was put into place for our self-defense between all threats, foreign and domestic, and it's just unconstitutional to try to touch that amendment, that right. Yes, something should be put into place to reduce gun violence. Stricter gun laws are not the solution. Well, I do agree that something does need to be done. Gun laws just wouldn't do it. A lot of people break the laws. Just because a law is put into place doesn't mean it's going to be effective. Until we figure out what that can be, what we can do to reduce the gun violence, I don't believe stricter gun laws should be on the table as a topic of discussion. Once you start talking about rights and which ones you can alter or take away completely, that is kind of a slippery slope. And what I mean by that is once you start talking about, hey, let's modify the Second Amendment or let's take away the Second Amendment, it's very easy for someone to say, hey, the First Amendment kind of permits for people's feelings to be hurt. That's just not the case. So as soon as you start talking about the Second Amendment, what you can and can't do with that, it's kind of a slippery slope. They're going to start taking away other amendments or modifying other amendments. So it's just not something that should be done. And proper storage and handling. Now, this does come from endfamilyfire.org. It's a great website to help you or help first-time gun owners learn about proper storage, proper handling. Proper storage from firearms can be everything. It can make or break a firearm owner or a good firearm owner between a not so good one, irresponsible one, between a responsible one. An obvious one should be that you should keep out of reach of children. You should use a gun safe or a cabinet with a lock or a key or any kind of combination lock, anything like that. We should always store a gun unloaded. Now, on the off chance that your kid does see you get into the gun safe, get into a gun cabinet, and they learn how to open it, you do want to make sure that you have stored your guns unloaded. Just on that off chance they do figure out how to get into it, they are not waving around a loaded firearm. Now, you always want to treat your guns as if they are loaded. Now, storing a loaded firearm, once you take it out and you start moving it from place to place, you don't want to be waving it around. You always want to treat it as if there is a bullet in the gun. That's just a good way of always getting in that habit and not having any accidents. Now, a lot of people, looks can be deceiving. A lot of people usually refer to the top gun here, the top middle one, as like an assault rifle. It's mainly used by law enforcement, which to an extent is true, but it's not. The gun in the top and at the main bottom, they actually shoot the exact, well, all these guns on this slide actually shoot the exact same bullet. They just don't shoot at the same rate. Now, the top gun and the bottom gun shoot at the exact same rate. As fast as you can shoot the top one, you can shoot the bottom one. It's no difference at all. It's just wood versus metal, which makes no difference in the performance. Just the metal one to other people seems scarier, which it's not really a good descriptive word of it, but that's how people describe it. And the bottom one is more traditionally pictured when it comes to hunting. So are the guns on the right. So they are deemed not as threatening, which they all do the exact same damage. And here would be my resources. And that would conclude my speech on the Second Amendment and why I do believe everyone should be pro-Second Amendment. Thank you.